Hamilton, we are live. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy today with my learning English. I'm still learning, and I'm so happy today because today we are going to talk with this huge drummer, huge musician, and wonderful person. But more than that, I'm so happy to have here a huge friend of mine that I meet maybe 10 years ago, a little bit more, 15 years ago. We're getting old, brother. And please, people, clap your hands to the great Jeff Hamilton. Hi,
Thank you.
Jeff.
Thank you, Edu. Thanks for that introduction. It's so good to see you. I wish we were doing this live in Brazil, because it's been so long since I've been there. The last time was Diana Krall tour where we did the Live in Rio DVD and CD. So it's been a long time. I'm ready to come back. Why don't you invite me for dinner sometime?
How about tomorrow?
Okay.
The flight is working. How is the flight
Yeah.
now? So man, do you remember what year was that we
Maybe
came here?
2008, 2009, maybe.
But when you did Rio, Diana Live in Rio, we didn't come to São Paulo. We didn't see in that time.
Right. That's right. So it was the time before. So maybe 2006 or 7. Since I've
That's
seen you in
right.
person. You look the same. You're doing great.
You too, man. You
Thank
look
you.
great, man.
Thank
Great
you.
thing. Thank you.
What's in that bottle next to you that you're drinking? That's not.
I'm drinking my
Yeah,
water.
yeah. The
And
more you drink of that, the better I look. Okay.
great. You're looking great, man. Looking great. Oh,
Thank
I'm
you.
great.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I remember the first time that I saw you, I went to Los Angeles because I have to say to people how you are so generous and kindness. Because I remember that we didn't met before, and I met Anthony Wilson that played the great Anthony. How is Anthony? Anthony's good. It's good.
Yeah, he's fine. He's doing great. He's into a lot of photography now too. So
Yeah,
he's multi-talented. He's doing great.
yeah. Great. And I remember that I went to Los Angeles to play. It was my first time in US.
Right.
I went to Los Angeles to play with Anthony and Chico Pinheiro.
That's right.
And the bass player was Danny. And I remember that you wrote me and you put your drum set for me and you said you can use my drum set, you can use my cymbals. Man, that was so kind, so gentleman. I have to say thank you. And you went to see us in Los Angeles. I
I
can't
did.
remember the name of the bar. And you went
It was called Steamers in Fullerton, California.
yes,
Yeah.
Steven, you,
Uh-huh.
your wife,
Uh-huh.
and Clayton. Clayton was there that
That's
day
right.
too.
That's right. That's
Oh
right.
man,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
I
was
only let you use the drums and cymbals because I wanted to see if some of your talent would rub off on my equipment so that I could play better.
no man. That drum that I remember that I took the drums on Anthony's house.
Yeah.
And I set up that and I said, man, that is Jeff's sound. And I tried to sound like you, but I can't do that.
Don't do that.
I said that's something wrong, but the drum, that's not sounding like Jeff. Man, amazing sound,
No,
man,
no.
amazing.
No,
Oh, Jeff.
you sounded beautiful. But the reason I was in touch with you is because Anthony Wilson made me aware of you from Chico Pinheiro, the recording that I knew about. So I knew about you. I just hadn't met you, but I was so excited to meet you that I said, Anthony, I want to write him, and I know you're going to play with him. Can I get in touch with him? So I have Anthony Wilson to thank for putting us together.
Oh man, thank you, Anthony. That was
Yeah,
so
yeah,
so good for us. That's friendship. Thank you so
yeah.
much. And sorry about my bad English.
No.
Sometimes I talk and it's going easily, but sometimes I'm getting a little nervous. I don't know why. Could you see that there is a lot of people here? Marcelo Bucata, that
Marcelo.
is, he's
He loves
saying,
you.
yeah. Yeah, I love him too.
Yeah.
We all love together.
Yeah.
Andrew, bom demais. David Cosa, Fábio, David Coraza, Ramon Montagner is here. Did you meet Ramon?
Ah, yeah.
Man,
Only,
that
only, he sent me his book. He was very kind. I just met him last, I think October. He was in Los Angeles area, and I heard about him giving a workshop. So I went to it, and Joe LaBarbera and I and Marcelo was there, and we couldn't believe what we saw. I mean, his technique with the two sticks in one hand is, if I see him again, I'm going to slap him. Because I can't do that. It's so good, and I keep hoping the book is going to help me, but I don't know.
the book. No. He plays like Wolverine now, but man, you can see the first time that I saw him, we have the same age. We are 45 now.
Okay.
And we were 17 when I saw him the first time in Campinas.
Okay.
And was so impressive because he has that technique in these times.
At 17, he did that.
Yeah, but just with one stick of any hand.
In each
hand. No two sticks. No.
Yeah.
But always amazing,
Wow.
amazing. And he was so focused. He was so he practiced every day, all the time. He's amazing.
And he's very humble about it too. If I could do that, I'd be walking around going, "Nobody else can do this," But he's so humble about it. It's remarkable.
Yeah, man. Do you know? So just one more thing about Ramon. I remember that I make a visit for your house, and her mother, his mother, fight with the neighbors because the neighbors complain about his playing drums, and his mother says, let my son study, let my son practice. He's practicing, he's working. Man, that was so lovely, man. So lovely.
Well, my father, who worked in a factory, he made tractor gears in a factory, and he was proud of his 3 children taking music lessons because he didn't want me to make tractor gears when I grew up. He could see that I was progressing in music. And so one of his coworkers said to him, his name is Jim, and he said, "Jimmy, how do you put up with that son playing drums all the time?" My father said, "I always know where he is."
That's very good. Is that?
Yeah, he's not getting into trouble. I know where he is.
We told that. I remember a book from Marta Argerich, the piano player. From classical music, and she starts to play very, very early, and there is a part on the book that she said that her mother put her to practice every day, and she wants to read some cartoons, something like that. And she memorized that kind of Bach or Chopin parts, and she memorized that, put the cartoon in the piano, and start playing by memory. And her mom at the other room says, "Oh, she's practicing." Okay, but she was reading the cartoon.
That's talent. Yeah, very talented.
That's very talented.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff. I have some questions for you. I think people that start to put a lot of questions, but I want to know. Sometime that we were together, we told me about Philly Joy Jones, and I'm not sure about. I didn't get with my English, but I think you told me that you got some lessons with him. That's right.
I had one full day with him. I played Philadelphia in, I want to say 1975, with Monty Alexander and John Clayton. And we played a club called Charlie's Playboy Lounge in a bad part of Philadelphia. And they had a wrought iron fence around the bandstand to protect the band, And it was a linoleum floor and a terrible upright piano. And it was a happening joint, and Bobby Durham, who I had replaced on Monty's job, lived down the street. So he came in, so I got nervous. I was 21 years old. And then halfway through the set, Philly Joe Jones walks across the stage with a party of 4 people and sits next to my China cymbal. So I've got like the stereo panic now on either side of me. And so I asked Philly Joe for a lesson, and I got a lesson the next day. He spent the day from 11 o'clock till 7:30 and drove me back to my hotel so I had time to jump into a suit and go to work at Charlie's Playboy Lounge that night. So I figure I got about 3 years worth of lessons in that one day, and he was having a good time. It wasn't like, okay, your hour's up, you got to go. He was enjoying the hang, because I had questions, and I was very focused about what I wanted to ask him. So there's a lot from that day. What in particular were you thinking about from the Philly Joe Jones lesson? What did you want to ask me?
Actually, I want to ask you about your influences, but I remember that Philly Joe, that part that you told me, and I start with him. But I think we didn't talk, but I can remember a very kind of phrase that you use that is a paradiddle diddle like that, and you put two bass drums here,
right?
And it reminds me a little some phrase from Philly Joe, and I just want to talk to you about your influence. How is your influence as a musician or a drummer?
The lesson began by him telling me that my hands weren't even, which I sort of was offended by, because as an 8-year-old, I spent 5 years on snare drum alone, just 5 years on snare drum, no drum set.
Wow.
And my hands were like little machines, and I was ready for marching band, drum corps, I could play the snare drum. And so I went through the Charles Wilcoxon book, the 150 All-American Solos. So when he told me my hands weren't even, it was like, are you serious? And so he said, all right, listen. And he went a different way. He didn't really mean that. He meant my phrasing wasn't what it should be, is what I think he was trying to say, but he said it in a different way. So he had a red vinyl bar stool. There were no drums in his place. It was a red vinyl bar stool. And so he set up the Charles Wilcoxon book, 150 All-American Solos, and he just opened a page. He says, all right, you've been through this book? I said, yeah, I went through it when I was 12. He said, all right, let's hear it. So I'll go around to the drums and show you what I did. And then how he transformed it into a musical phrase from the drums. So it was... He said, no, not like that. Not like that. Like this. And I went, oh. He says, yeah, swing it, and if you got 2 rights in a rudiment or a rough, or put the grace notes in the bass drum. A Radamacu. But that still sounds like a drummer. So how do we become more musical with it, which he did, which is swallow. We call it ghosting or swallowing some notes. So not everything is. So you've got this dip in the phrasing. So it's, and I'm thinking like a tenor player when I'm playing. Which is what we sound like on a slab of rubber when we play the practice pad. So that's why we don't really get into phrasing early on. But he really opened my eyes even more to losing some of the notes, to make sure the phrase, like swallowing the note. So you get this ebb and flow like the water while you're playing. So you hear the contour then of the musical phrase instead of, that's all one dynamic. So we're not really playing any phrasing. We're just playing the actual rhythms. And to me, that's not really music. That's drumming. And I always try to be a musician who happens to play the drums. I don't want to be a drummer that's trying to play music. I want to reverse. I want to be a musician as you are, You always think music first. You always think music, but you play the drums second. It happens to be your instrument.
Yeah, man, great, amazing. And that phrasing, when you said that, I'm thinking about a tenor player playing a phrase is easy to check when you play that. It's easy to understand. That's amazing. I remember the first time that I heard about that. I don't know. Do you know the Banda Mantiqueira?
I don't think so.
Yeah, do you know Celso de Almeida, the drummer?
Very well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna slap him too when I see him next time.
Yeah. We're gonna do that. But the arranger, the guy,
the big band. Yeah,
the big band.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Nailo Proveta, o saxophonist, the saxophone player.
Okay.
The first time that someone told something from me was Nailo that we are traveling, and we are listening Max Roach with Clifford Brown. And when starts the drum solo, he says, "Man, he plays like a saxophone player."
Yes.
That phrase is a kind of saxophone. That was the first time, and I try to do that in my way to put that technical things on the music, and it helps a lot, man. It helps.
Well, for example, the famous Max Roach lick that everybody loves to play is 1, 2, 3, 4. And you hear drummers do it, and they play it like that. Everything is even, but Max played it. You hear the bum, So I start thinking more legato when I play instead of staccato. So you see the phrase line over what I'm playing. And I'm a believer that anything that we can sing, we can play, but we have to be in touch with how we sing it in order to play it that way. Boop bobbity boo da, boop bobbity boo da, ah ah. And it's not that. Right? So even in single note playing, I'm still thinking legato. I'm thinking fat notes and not boink, 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 boink,
Yeah, that's amazing. And for the rhythm, the pattern, the conduction, the groove, you think something like that too?
I always have a third arm, an imaginary third arm, coming out going 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow.
It's one motion, as you do too. One motion and 3 bounces. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it starts from here, as you know. We talked about this years ago. It starts from the Ritz. It's not the elbow. And so many drummers get so used to the elbow by growing up with music. It's all elbow on the hi-hat. So they go to the right side and they start, so and it doesn't swing. You kind of got to let the wrist come into action a little more. So I hardly use any arm when I'm playing a swing beat, bebop beat. But that imaginary arm is always there and you can hear it when I'm solo. I make you hear the cymbal beat. Day, 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 day. You hear that day through everything that I'm playing. So
yeah, great. And I remember the first time that I heard that "Don't Get Sassy," Hey Brown trio.
Yeah.
You, Hey Brown, and Benny Green, piano player.
Yeah.
And that tanga, that was it's not. Did you hear that Bill Cosby talking about the day that he went to jamming? Bill Cosby jamming that he was imitating Elvin Jones. Did you see that?
No.
that he said.
Oh
that,
yeah, Bill Cosby. Yeah, the rigor mortis said it. Right. Right.
For me, is that kind of a tempo? It's impossible tempo. 1, 2.
Yeah.
But you play that is soft. It's something. It's amazing because when you take the sticks, look out, and we can hear the swing, the tempo, all of it. Amazing, and is the same thing from the same wrist, same kind of sticking.
Yeah, it's the same thing. In fact, everybody does that at a fast tempo. It's you throw the stick down on 2 and 4, and you get 3 bounces. So that's where it starts. Is it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You're just letting the stick do the work through all of that. So yeah, it's the same thing. And the brushes are the same thing. All that is right hand. It's that's what that is. And people think it's left, right, left, right, left, right, left, or right, left, right, which is a Philly Joe Jones brush pattern called tense. But it's not that. You have to do that after a while. When I play with Oscar Peterson, and you're playing 8 brushes at that tempo, or 8 choruses on brushes, and this starts to happen, and so you go, okay, all right, now I got to go from this to this. But the idea is to still keep it seamless so that your time doesn't feel like it changes, your feel doesn't change. So, a lot of people, when they do it, it sounds like a horse with a broken leg. They go, that's not, that ain't swinging, So you want to keep your beat going through that brush tempo. Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. I remember that you showed me that, and I'm practicing every time. But it's hard, man. For me, one chorus.
That's good.
But for one blues chorus, just one.
What brushes are you using?
Here it's a Promac TB4. I remember the first time that I met you, that I take my brush and you said that wrong brushes. And I said, no, I thought very bad. Wrong brushes.
These tempos are only possible with the Regal Tip Jeff Hamilton model brush.
Okay.
So, what happened? I lost you. Are you there? Hello? I lost you, Edu.
Edu,
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Everything is okay here. Rachel, you hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you, Jeff.
Okay.
But I can't hear Edu. Can you make sure your mic is on, Edu?
All right. Something popped.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I heard something pop. Like, did your cord come out? There you go.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
Here.
See, fast brush tempo is bad for your health.
and for my equipment too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's too hot for the equipment. It blows it up. Don't ever do that again.
Yeah, but I want to do that. What's wrong? But you told me some kind of secret. I chose a little heavy wire.
Yeah.
To have the bounce.
Yes.
And is like to do that.
Yes.
Good. And I have a question. And when you do that kind of slap, you do with your left hand or your right hand like that, because I'm trying to do all the thing with the left hand like that.
Yeah.
Why do you do that?
I don't think it matters. What you're doing it sounds great. I don't think you need to know what I'm doing.
But it's good. It's good to know.
What I'm doing is whatever comes to mind at the time is what I'm doing. So if slowly, I'll do it slowly. So I'm doing right and left.
Yeah.
You know, so I think you should be able to. I call it a nudge. You know, you're just kind of giving them, like you see piano players and they play a hip chord and they give it the shoulder. You know, so
yeah.
So I always say, give me a little more shoulder. You know, when you're playing.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of the equivalent of a shoulder piano player nudge. That without moving your body, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm just nudging the time a little bit. You know. So that's all. I think just be able to do it with either hand is what's important. You know. But I'm going to tell you the same thing I told Dave Weckl a few years ago. We were at a NAMM show in Los Angeles, and Steve Smith, Peter Erskine, and Adam Nussbaum and I were all standing around a snare drum, and Adam Nussbaum was showing me his new brushes he helped Zildjian design. And he says, let me know what you think of these, you know. So Smith says, can you show me the fast tempo? And I said, I'll try with these brushes, you know. So I'm going, Weckl is walking past us to go sign autographs, you know, which we just came from. So he goes over to sign up, and he's got like 20 followers behind him, these young kids behind him, like, you know, like Dave Weckl.
Yeah.
And so, but they're right. So he sees us playing the brushes, and he stops, and they kind of run into each other because they're looking at him. And he looks over, and I didn't know him at this time. And he said, hey, Hamilton. And I looked at him. He says, we got to get together. And I said, why? And he said, because you got to show me some of that stuff. And I said, Dave, you have everything else. Can I have the brushes? So, you know, you're over there going, you know, can I have the brushes? You do that.
Oh, man, that is amazing.
By the way, that drum hang that you did, and Russ Gleason was so kind to invite me.
Amazing.
I learned so much because I asked from the first time I played with a Brazilian, Lorendo Almeida, in 1978, an authentic Brazilian player. I played, you know, bossa novas and sambas with people before, but they weren't from Brazil. So I'm asking the elderly gentleman that I'm in the group with, you know, Shelly Mann left the group called the LA4, and Ray Brown and invited me to be in the group. So we're playing a lot of bossa novas, we're playing kind of gentle things. And so I said, Lorendo, teach me the exact rhythms. You know, there was even one choro that I didn't know what a choro was, and he wouldn't tell me. I said, show me the rhythms. He says, no, I like what you're doing. It's Brazilian jazz. So you bring your element to it. You're doing fine. So nobody. I asked Claudio Sloan, show me the exact rhythms. Nobody has shown me the exact rhythms until your drum hang class. So I've got, you know, Frevo and Joro and all these things, and I've been working on it. And I want you to listen to how it's helping me play. How's that?
Why are you playing? Where did you?
Huh? It's coming along, huh?
Yeah. We have to work a little bit more. But man, I was listening. We talked today before, and you make some joke with my mask, and you talk about Scott Hamilton, and
Yes.
I was listening that recording maybe 2 or 3 days ago, and you played a kind of bossa nova there with brushes. That's amazing. It's beautiful, beautiful.
Do you remember what song that is? I don't remember that.
No, it's too much to me. I remember that was a kind of bossa nova. I'm a drummer, man.
Well, you know, we had been working at this club called Marion's Jazz Club in Bern, Switzerland for the whole week. And after the closing night, the next job got canceled. So I called the record company, Capri Records, and I said, you want to do this record? You've been wanting to record Scott Hamilton, Jeff Hamilton for a long time. And he says, let's do it. So we got the engineer for the Barron Festival. He brought his rig over to the club we were playing in. And we did that record in, I think, 7 or 8 hours. We did the whole thing. And we didn't know what we were going to play. You know, somebody looked over on the wall and there was a picture of Benny Carter, the great alto saxophonist and trumpet player. And and somebody said, well, that's a great tune that Benny Carter wrote. How about Key Largo? We said, okay, what key do you want to do it? And that's how we did the whole record. Maybe that's what you're talking about. Slow. You know, so it's just I'm looking at it as a ballad with some bumps in it. You know.
Yeah. Amazing, great. Oh, do you know? I think we have a kind of. I'm so influenced about Russ Glasson.
Yeah.
Because he brings some surprise, and I think we have some surprise here. Rachel, we have the surprise. Is it done? The surprise is here.
Oh, I got to get up here and see. I can't see that far. Let me see. Hey, Celso! Hey, do we have dinner reservations again, guys?
we have to do one more dinner like that. Ele perguntou se a gente tem reserva pro jantar hoje de novo, Celso.
Sim.
Great to see you, Celso.
Edu,
Oi.
muito feliz aí com o seu convite de participar aí, de fazer essa surpresa pro Jeff.
Muito obrigado.
Muito fã dos dois, né, de vocês dois, e fala para ele também o que ele estava fazendo no Discovinha não é nada disso.
I will translate. Oh my God! He said that he's so happy to be here to make that surprise to you, and he said he's a huge fan of your drumming, and he said that what are you playing with brushes, jazz brushes, was not sounding good.
Well, you know, since that night together, where all three of us were upstairs from the club, and I tried to play brushes on that terrible drum, I have never been the same since.
I remember that. Ele está falando que desde aquela vez que ele foi lá no Passatempo, tocar naquela caixa que a gente roubou, ele perdeu o senso disso daí.
Never again.
That
was a great night. That was a great night. But so was dinner before.
Yeah,
the dinner was fantastic before.
Yeah, we have to repeat that just to tell people. When Jeff came here, at the first time that I met Jeff, I told him that in Brazil there is a kind of restaurant that they serve a lot of meat on the table and a lot of steaks and very tasteful. And Jeff came to Brazil and give me a call or send me a message. I can remember. I went to go to this restaurant, and I invited Celso. And Celso, at the end of the dinner, Celso says, "Oh, I have to go because I have to play." And Jeff says, "We are going to with you. We have to go together." And when we got there, we met a lot of musicians in Passatempo, and there is a kind of guys to play a real samba like pagode, and we start to play. We put Jeff Hamilton with the pagode players to play together, man. That was incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, but you remember they started laughing at me. The two brothers playing that there. They were laughing like he.
No, man. No.
Yeah, but then I said, hey, no laughing. They said, no.
Let's play different now. but that thing that Laurindo says to you, that is so that's good for music. I always say that because bring what do you have for our music. Let's gonna do music together. Bring your heart to this music. Don't try to be different.
Yeah. And when I asked Claudio Sloan that, he said, he just looked at me and he said, when are you American drummers going to understand that we're still all trying to be Max Roach and Shelly Manne, and you want to play our stuff?
Yeah.
So he said, tell me about playing in Bill Holman's big band. Tell me about Shelly Manne. You know, it's just you know what to do in this music. Just do what you do. You've listened enough, and just do what you do. So I'm still learning. You know.
Yeah.
And I have the two of you on the most recent Elias CD, and you sound wonderful. I love Eliani and Mark. And, Mark Johnson and I were on Woody Herman's band in 1977. We recorded 3 records together. Yeah. So you sound beautiful on those records, both of you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
And Rafa Barada, of course. You know, just like she couldn't find any decent drummers, huh?
Yeah, it's hard to find that this time. Oh, man, thank you.
Edu.
Oi, Celso.
Edu, então é isso aí. Passei para deixar um grande abraço aí pro Jeff, né? Sou muito fã de vocês dois. E vou continuar assistindo aqui essa aula que vocês estão dando aí.
Tá
viu?
Bom,
um grande prazer falar com vocês. Eu adoro vocês. E é isso aí. Saudades, Jeff. Tá bom? Dá um alô para ele.
Thank you, Celso. Jeff, Celso says that he's going. He just came here to say that he loves you, he loves your music, and he's so thankful to being here to say hello to you.
Thank you. Celso, this is for me than getting a plane ticket and flying from Los Angeles to New York City to see you play with Rosa Passos for 3 nights, which I did a few years ago. So it's better for me financially for you to be here today instead of me flying to see you play.
Você entendeu, Celso? Ele falou que ele ficou feliz que foi lá e falou que financeiramente é muito melhor ir em Los Angeles do que vir aqui para ver você tocar.
Bye.
Tchau, Celso.
Bye.
Obrigado.
Yeah.
Obrigado.
Beautiful.
And Celso has a BRS quartet that is on Open Studio too. He's the drummer from the
I know that. Yeah, I had that.
Yeah.
My friend Peter Erskine made me aware of that, and then Celso sent that to me also. So
amazing.
I have a lot of homework to do between Ramon and Celso and you.
No. And then I did one of them with Peter Erskine, and thank you for came here. And I didn't know that you and Peter went to school together. That
in 1971, our first year of university was together at Indiana University. And then I met John Clayton the next year, and Alan Pasqua, the piano player with Peter, he was there that year. And it was a large program. We had 52 percussion majors.
Wow!
It was a large school. So that's where we met. And then Peter left after his first year and went with Stan Kenton. And I left after my second year and went with the Tommy Dorsey band. So we didn't stay.
just to meet each other and let's gonna play. Let's gonna take the word.
And then end up in Los Angeles together again. So our paths keep crossing. Yeah, we have lunch every once in a while. Yeah.
Oh man, he's such a great guy too. Man. That's a very nice time. Jeff, There is a lot of questions for you
Okay.
here, man. We have to
Okay.
start with this.
Okay, go ahead. I
Go
can't see
ahead.
them, so go ahead.
Okay. People,
They're not showing up here, so go ahead.
Okay. Marcelo Bucati, Andreu, David, Ramon Montagna, Gilmar, Alex Reis. People, I'm saying hello to everybody. Tony Claret, Felipe Brandão. This is an astonishing moment in the music history. Thank you, guys. Fan of both. Obrigado, Osmar Marinho, Felipe Brandão. Obrigado. Tiago Lima. I have a query to Jeff. I have been seeking his playing for a long time. Really want to play jazz as he does. What should I listen more to and play along with? I just play rock at church.
The best advice I can give you, and it's just based on what I know worked for me, was selecting the records, the LPs, when I was a young man, and playing to my favorite records. And I played the Oscar Peterson Trio with Ray Brown and Ed Thigpen, and I memorized all of the arrangements. I transcribed what Ed Thigpen did with comping. I played to Count Basie records, Woody Herman records, and I set 4 goals for myself, which was to play with Oscar Peterson, to play with Ray Brown, play with Woody Herman, and with the Count Basie Orchestra. So I eventually did all of that, but it's from it's from playing to those records at an early age or now, but just being really focused at now and learning exactly what that band leader wants from the drums, and do you fit into that, and what do you need to do to fit into that. But playing along to the records, I think, is more helpful than any book in playing jazz. I think you need to play with people, and I think you need to play to the records, especially for your time feel. A metronome will never hire you for a jazz job, you know. So you have to play with records with people on them. People hire you for the jobs, not metronomes. So I think that's probably the best advice I can give you. But you have to choose the recordings you like, which means you have a lot of listening to do to find out what really makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck. You know, that's what you need to play to. I can give you a list of things you should play to, but you might not like them, you know, so that's why you have to find your jazz recordings. But you should start with Jeff Hamilton Trio CDs.
Yeah, that's the best part of your advice. Great, Thiago. That is the best advice. You know something? When you are answering that great answer, I remember that when I moved to São Paulo, I was completely falling in love with Rosa Passos' music, and I brought some CDs, and I start to listen every day, and I start to try have some goal that you said to play with these records in these tempos. That was Erivelton Silva playing the drums, and
yeah,
there is a song that the tempo was something like that.
Yeah.
It's so fast, so hard, and
yes.
But was a kind of goal for me. And
right.
I listen everything. I dig in that her music, and when she invited me to play with her to substitute Celso, it's something that I know everything that's gonna happen in this stage. I know all the music. I know the vibe. That is amazing. That's.
And
so,
I know the song you're talking about, and I also met Erivelton on that first trip too. And to see him play, every one of you plays so differently and gets a similar result. But you're right; all your right hands are so different from each other the way you do that. And it was so interesting for me to see his approach to that, because it looks like his hand isn't moving at all, you know, when he plays.
Yeah.
And it's different with your hand doesn't move much either. But back to that tune, I know the tune you're to ba da 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 da, yeah. And so it's so fast that I kept thinking, Rosa's not going to be able to get all the words in this song, you know. It's so fast, but it's such a great da 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 da, you know, it's such a great song. But that's it. The more listening you do, and gear it toward your focus of the way you want to play and who you want to play with, and it might happen, you know, as it worked for you. You know, there's the proof, you know. Great question, Tiago.
Oh, great. We have one more question from André Caetano. Edu asked him how was play with Ray Brown, and if he could tell us the importance to play together with the bass player, to make a conversation with the bass player.
Okay, I've been blessed with fantastic bass players. I mentioned John Clayton before. That was the first great bass player I played with when we were students. He was great. Wow. And he had studied with Ray Brown. And so at 19, you know, he was ahead of where I was because he studied in Los Angeles with Ray Brown, and I was from Indiana in a farm country kind of, you know, and we weren't exposed to that kind of great musicianship. So I had a lot of catching up to do. So Ray Brown, then to Andy Simpkins, the great bass player with Sarah Vaughan and George Shearing, and Gene Harrison, the Three Sounds, is from my hometown, so I knew about him. Harold Jones, the drummer, is also from my hometown, and Joe Hunt, the drummer, is from my hometown, a little town of 35,000 in Indiana. And so I was aware of all these great players, but I didn't get to meet them or play with them. So after John Clayton and Andy Simpkins, then Mark Johnson, then Ray Brown. And as I had mentioned before, all the bands that I played with, small group bands, had Ray Brown on bass. And so I had played with those records, and I would visualize playing with him. There's the Clark Terry +1. There's a picture of his right hand on a string coming around the string of the bass. And I would imagine my stick hitting the cymbal as that finger comes around the string on his bass. And I'd just stare at that picture while I was memorizing Oscar Peterson's music. So by the time I got to play with Ray Brown, I felt like I was ready. I had done all my homework. I knew the drummers he liked. I knew what he didn't like in a drummer. And as it turned out, his likes were my likes. And playing with John Clayton got me ready for that because they were very similar. And so the first night I played with Ray, it was like, yeah, this is the way it's supposed to feel. And I'm often asked, weren't you nervous when you played your first night? I always have to say no. That first of all, after that night that I told you about with Philly Joe Jones and Bobby Durham, I never got nervous again. That was the last time I did that because I realized how selfish it was for me to think of how nervous I was instead of serving the music that we all need to do all the time. Wow. The music is bigger than how we feel. So you always have to serve the music. It's a privilege for us to be able to play this music. So I felt like I belonged on the bandstand with Ray Brown because I felt like maybe I'd done more homework than any drummer at that point to earn the right to have a chance to play with him. And he hired me for the band before I even played with him. He had heard me before, and he thought, this is the person I need on drums after Shelly Manne left that group. He said, this is the person that needs to come into that chair. So when you have that kind of encouragement from someone, you're very comfortable that first night. Now, the first rehearsal, I had done too much homework because I started playing exactly what Shelly Manne played on all these things, you know. Mm-hmm. And Ray stopped the rehearsal. He says, hold it. We know how Shelly Manne sounds. We want to hear how you sound. And what are you going to bring to the group? And at 24 years old, it was like, you mean I have a personality that you want in this band, you know?
Are you talking serious?
Yeah. So I never had an issue. Ray Brown and I were dear friends. I miss having dinner with him, playing golf with him, being on the road with him every day, and playing music with him. It's all together. And it's some drummers asked me, he said, well, you know, wasn't it difficult to play with him? I never had a problem with it. All he demanded was 100% on every note and 100% intensity on every note and total concentration. And as long as you brought that and you had a strong beat and your personality and you brought that to his beat, it worked. But players that aren't so strong or confident, they don't work with Ray Brown. It doesn't work. You got to be a bull when you get into. You got to be a boxer. You got to be Muhammad Ali when you get in the ring with somebody like that. You can't go in and go, gee, I hope I don't get hurt. You know, you got to go in and go, I'm going to take it to this quarter note. You know, so that's the kind of outlook you have to have with a bass player like that.
Wow, that's great. I love that answer. you can't be it's too much selfish if you be embarrassed. You have to serve the music. That is amazing, man.
That's
Great,
true.
thank you.
Yeah.
One more question for you. There's a lot of questions for you, brother.
Okay.
People, hello, Edu. I have a question for Jeff. Can he talk a bit about up-tempo on the hi-hat, a la Roy Haynes, Jive Hoot? I don't know what is Jive Hoot.
Tempo on the hi-hat. Roy Haynes, Jive Hoot. He's talking about a track that Roy Haynes is on. Okay. I'll answer this, but you have to ask Roy Haynes what I do, okay?
Yeah. We're going to try to have Roy Haynes for the next episode.
Okay.
And he has to do this question.
All right. So I'm not sure exactly how he did it. I can tell you how I did it, which is, the best I got. I don't think I can show you what Roy Haynes did. But there's a misconception on up-tempos for people to play open hi-hat, 2 with the foot, and that's, I don't know any great drummer that does that in jazz. It just sounds like you're skimming the surface. You're not really getting down into it. So first of all, you got to have a fast ride pattern. If you can do that, now, and I'm slowing it down a little bit so you can hear it. So one way of doing it is not using your foot at all. Get your foot so that it does that. Your cymbals sound like a sizzle cymbal. Then you use your hand on 2 and 4 to mute the cymbals. So that's no foot at all. Now you can use the foot and the hand, but the important thing is keeping the ride pattern going. So Joe Jones is the master of that. He gets the credit for starting that with the Basie Band in 1939. Jake Hanna played the hell out of the hi-hat. So listen to those guys play the hi-hat, and you'll hear that they're not cheating with, because that doesn't swing. It doesn't have a great sound. So those are just a couple of things that can help you get the hi-hat, the sound right, plus the tempo. But you got to get the ding, 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 ding with the right hand.
Man, that's amazing. Yeah, for the 2 and 4, you just put with your left hand.
Yeah. And what? That's it.
Wow, that's great.
Now, what you try to do is make sure that only beats 2 and 4 are closed. So you want da 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 da. Yeah. That's it.
Wow.
And make sure you're throwing the stick down on. You are, but I'm just telling them. Make sure you throw the stick down on 2 and 4 to get that finger snap on 2 and 4 for your hi-hat, the beat. And if you don't open it up on the 1, 2, it sounds like da 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 da, and and it sounds stupid. It's too square.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
but you don't have to accent the and you didn't do this, but that's a tendency. Yeah. Great. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, thank you so much, brother. More question.
Okay.
That Vestel said he's just laughing a little. Mr. Hamilton, what do you think about Jason Suter model verse? What to buy or model also? I have Suter verse.
You should ask Jason Sutter that question because Jason studied with me. And when he was with Marilyn Manson, he drove to my house and he got out in that clothes that he wears with Marilyn Manson. And I said, I said, don't ever show up dressed like that again, or my neighbors are going to pull out their guns, you know. So, Jason is a very talented player. He's well versed in very many genres of this music. He felt that my brush was a little heavy and thicker for him. The wires were thick for him. I don't seem to have a problem with my brush, but he felt that it was a little heavy, so he wanted to design a brush that was in between the normal, regular Regal tip brush and my brush. So the gauge of the wire is just a little bit thicker and firmer than the regular Regal tip, but it's a little thinner and lighter and not as firm as my wires. So, you know, again, why are you guys asking me about all these other people? Roy Haynes, now Jason Sutter. Hey, dude, you got to administrate this better.
No,
come on.
there is no question to me. They're just asking to you.
Okay, my answer is he needs to buy Jeff Hamilton brushes, and then he needs to tell me what the difference is.
That's the right thing. Actually, a student from you, Matt Whitker.
Yeah, Wittick.
It's
Yes.
hard to me.
Yeah.
He came here
Yes.
and he plays so good. I could recognize a lot of you on his drumming.
Yeah. He studied with me for quite a while, and he really has a lot of those things down, you know. But he's still his own player. But you can tell certainly that he studied with me. Yeah.
Great. And no more question about another one. Okay. John Fidelis, boa tarde, living legend. People just saying hello, we love you.
Thank you.
Felipe Brandão asking you, oh my God. Me and my computer.
Okay.
No worry.
You know, my next gig is in February, so don't take too much time.
Felipe Brandão asking you to repeat the way that you think to study the 150 American solos by Wilcoxon.
Okay, the book is Charlie Wilcoxon, 150 American. He wants me to demonstrate it again.
Yeah, just to talk again.
Okay, but other people have already seen it that have been here for the whole broadcast.
And it's being recorded. You can check it after.
Okay.
Felipe Brandão.
Okay.
Almir Cássio, please ask Jeff about big band playing, equipment, and drum approach.
My drum approach to big band is the same as it is with trio, except that I use a 20-inch bass drum, 14 by 20-inch bass drum with the big band, and I use, for small group, a 14 by, or maybe 16 by 18, I'm not sure, an 18-inch bass drum. And so the same cymbals I use for everything, and I'm playing for everyone in the band, whether it's 16 people, 75 people in an orchestra, which I saw you do online, 3 people. I'm playing for everybody on the stage with me, and I'm thinking, what do they need from me to make them sound as good as they possibly can? Or maybe I can do something and make them sound better than they think they can. So what is that? So that's my overall way of thinking when I'm playing with anybody, and it makes no difference how many people are on the bandstand. So for the big band, my statements are clearer for the end of the band where the saxophone player is. You know, I want to make sure the baritone saxophone player, I want to make sure they hear everything I'm playing. I don't want them to worry and have to start counting. I want to hand them everything they need. So I have everybody in mind. John Von Ohlen, who I studied with, who was the Stan Kenton and Woody Herman drummer, told me that to really know how to play in a big band, you got to get inside the music. So you got to know what the third trombone player is playing. You got to know what the second tenor player is playing. You know, you can't just go with the lead trumpet player, the bass player, and the piano player or whatever. You got to know the arrangement so that you don't play in a way that you're getting in everybody's way. So yeah, you do have to think of the lead trumpet player and how they breathe and the phrasing. And I'll even watch a trumpet player if I haven't played with them before, and I'll see how they're going to phrase. I can tell by the way they breathe to get ready to play something. If it's going to be this, then it's probably going to be fortissimo. If they're doing it kind of into the stand and softer, then I'm not going to play as loud. So all these little things, I mean, there's so much that I could talk about, but that's years of experience of, what to play and what not to play in a setting like that. But generally, Mel Lewis said, and I agree with him, that you just play the music to serve the music and play to make everybody in the band sound as good as they possibly can. And that's all you need to worry about. Because if you think of all the big bands, you have the Count Basie Orchestra, you have Woody Herman, you have Duke Ellington, you got Maria Schneider, you have Bill Holman, you got the Brazilian big bands. There is not one way of playing big band drumming. That doesn't mean you hit rim shots and Christ symbols for every accent. You're still playing music, so you need to know how to get inside the music of that band and know something about those arrangers and the style of the band. Same thing with piano trios. Oscar Peterson, Bill Evans, Brad Mehldau, Ahmad Jamal. You play different with every one of those trios. Even the trios I played, Monty Alexander, that I was fortunate to play with great piano players. Monty Alexander, Gene Harris, Benny Green, Oscar Peterson. I played differently with all four of those piano players. And they were all in a trio setting. So, it's not just small group versus big band. We're playing music, and where do you fit in, and how much homework have you done listening to know what the right thing is to do at that time?
Yeah, great answer. Great, and
see, if you ask me about me, I have good answers. I can't answer for somebody else.
Hey Jeff, I want to play something for you.
Okay.
Because in 2017, I did one album, and I did one drum solo that I dedicated to you. And I never get a chance to play it for you.
Ah, okay.
Can I play to you?
Absolutely.
The name is Dido Dido.
Okay.
Because the reason is I was seeing you playing, and I saw you playing that kind of phrase that I read play today. And I did some kind of solo with this.
Okay.
I will play to you.
I'm ready.
Okay. Just 20 minutes. No, not so much.
Did you borrow Peter Erskine's camera setup for this?
Man, Peter was a huge influence.
Wow, that was great,
Oh, thank you.
man.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I wrote that. I wondered that you could play that, playing Jeff Hamilton on chachado. That is a Brazilian rhythm.
Uh-huh.
I remember. I remember a day that you called me,
Yeah.
and you said, "What is Baião? How could I play Baião?" Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And
I do.
it is a kind of Baião. So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that, just for you,
Man,
brother.
just beautiful. That's just great. So what did you write for me in 2018?
Was 2017. Was not 18. I will do another one. No,
Okay.
no worry.
No, that was seriously, that was beautiful. So beautiful. Just great. Great musicianship, great dynamics, great phrasing. Just lovely. Thank you. I'm really honored. I'm touched by that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And we talked about dynamics, and there is a question here from someone that asked about if you could talk about some good exercise to do dynamics. See if there is any exercise.
I think the exercises come with your ears. You know, this is where you have to hear what you need to play. So as we mentioned before, I think anything you can sing, you can play. And I think the softer you play, you have to let the stick do the work. We talked before about too much. Where am I? The arm, the forearm, and I think there's too much elbow hinge in a lot of drummers, and we need the wrist hinge. This is what we need, and the fingers. So if you can get the touch, Mel Lewis used to do this with the stick, where he would roll the stick around in his hand, and if you can keep the stick that loose and kind of lower your stick height to just touch the drum, you're going to get a sensitive stroke out of it, as opposed to the elbow, raising up the arm and hitting the daylights out of the drum. Just use your ears for what you want to play and sing the volume you want to play and go da 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 da. And then how do you achieve that? By letting the stick do the work. I already showed you the 3 bounces with the 1 motion. So if you want 4, da 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 da. Da, 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 da. You do this in Brazilian music. Da, 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 da. You know, every time the cross stick goes down, you can, your right hand can go with it. So.
Yeah, Kiko Freitas. He's doing a lot of that kind of. Besides that incredible syncope on left hand. But now for a long time he's practicing a kind of 4 notes. And it's hard to do that. But he's amazing.
Yeah, he should stop that. It's too hard to do. I think he should stop.
Hey, I don't want to take. We're just going over 1 hour. I don't want to take too much of your time. But there's there is a question from Marcelo Bucata. We have to answer that.
Yes, sir.
We can't do that.
Absolutely.
Could you hear that?
Jeff, could you talk a little bit about the importance of feathering the bass drum while playing and how you approach it? Sending a big hug to both of you. Yes, he and Natalia bought their wedding rings from my wife, Joni, who has a jewelry store and she's a designer, but she has her own jewelry store in Hermosa Beach, just up the street from the Lighthouse Jazz Club, the famous Lighthouse. And so Marcelo and Natalia got their wedding rings from my wife Joni, so that's why he says hugs to both of us. So yeah, we love them. Yeah, Marcelo studied with me, and he knows how to do this. I think he's asking for everyone else, and I play with my heel down. So with my heel down on the pedal, it's just that I'm getting this motion. And instead of the heel up jamming the pedal, the heel is flat. So it's just like tapping your foot. But the trick is that when you feather the bass drum, when you're playing jazz on all 4 beats, the reason it's called feathering the bass drum is because you're thinking of a feather lightly touching the head. Not playing the bass drum, but just touching the head. Mel Lewis was a master of this. The misconception about not playing the bass drum is that when bebop came in, with Kenny Clark and Max Roach and Stan Levy, and Roy Haynes later on. But the bebop drummers were still feathering the bass drum, but you couldn't hear it because there was one microphone in the room, and all you could hear were the bass drum accents when they'd call it bomb dropping, ding, 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 boom, ding, 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 boom. So people think that's all they were doing with the bass drum. I sat behind all of them. Elvin Jones, even Tony Wood, they feathered the bass drum. They're playing all 4 beats just softly, and then wham when you need that. So I'll demonstrate what it sounds like when the bottom falls out of it and you're not playing 4 beats on the bass drum. You should never hear the 4 beats on the bass drum out front. You should not hear it on the bandstand. You should just feel it. Ray Brown and I were playing. I was in Ray Brown's group with Gene Harris, and this particular job was Marlena Shaw singing at the Blue Note in New York. And the bandstand is kind of close, so Ray had to turn from the side, so his back was to my hi-hat. I mean, his waist was about where my hi-hat was. And so he couldn't see my foot. Well, my drums didn't make the flight from Osaka to New York, so I had to use the house drum sets with the black ebony heads on them, rock and roll heads with a pillow and the bass drum, you know.
Black
yeah, and a 15-hour flight, and we went right to the job and played, so I started getting a cramp in the front of my leg on the bass drum. And I raised my foot up for 2 bars just to do this, you know, to try to ease the muscle in the shin. And Ray didn't even look at me. He just turned his head and he goes, "What's the matter? Your foot broke?" You know, but you can't hear it. You're just supposed to feel it. So I hope it translates through here, our sound here on the computer. But I'll play with gently feathering the bass drum, and with some accents, and then I'll stop playing it. You'll hear the difference. Okay. That's all I'm doing. The beaters, can you hear that?
Yeah, so soft.
The beater's coming back that far. Feather.
Yeah.
So you hear the momentum that provides?
Yeah.
I hope it's coming through the sound on this.
Yeah. Perfectly.
Okay. So it's like this big cushion for the whole band, and the feel comes from the floor instead of skating on the top of the surface. Yeah. So you can dig into the groove that way from feathering the bass drum, and you still hear the accents. So where you fade in and out of playing the accents and then playing the time.
You just play just close it to the
yeah.
You don't put the
no.
The butt. Just
no.
Wow.
Just think of touching it. Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah, and I play with a very loose tension too. I don't have a tight spring. Yeah.
I play with a tight spring.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, but makes a huge difference when you stop to do that.
Yeah, your feel is gone, and you can really tell in a studio when they isolate the drums from everything else. It's really exposed. It sounds empty. The drummer sounds empty if you don't. Most of the time I do that if I'm playing in a Bill Evans style trio of a lot of floating, then I won't play the bass drum on all 4 beats. But do you know who loved Philly Joe Jones? Is Bill Evans.
Yeah,
he loved playing with Philly Joe Jones, and Philly Joe Jones feathered the bass drum. So
all the time.
It's up to your musicianship of how you want to play the bass drum in any setting. If you can't do it, don't do it. But you should learn how to do it.
Yeah. Great, brother. Great. I love that.
All right.
I love that kind of stuff. Hey, brother.
Now with the heel up, you have to have tension, because if you play heel up with some things you do, right? So you have to have some tension in your pedal. Yeah. So it might be hard to get a happy medium where you still have that with the heel. But I hardly play heel up. Everything I do is heel down,
Yeah. Brother, I don't want to take you so much here. We just over of your time. I want to say thank you for everybody that came here. I'm so sorry for the guys that we didn't answer the questions. I want to say you that for me was so happy afternoon. I think you have to sit down and have your lunch here. Well, now, yeah, it's lunchtime, I know.
Yeah.
And I want to say congratulations for your birthday. I love it that I love it that bagpipe, that sound.
My people showed up.
And man, thank you so much for being here and for talking with people here. It was so kind and so gentle, so everything.
Thank you.
I love you.
I appreciate your opportunity to let me do this, and so that we can be together. I mean, it's so long, as we talked about, so long since we've seen each other in person, and I'm dying to hear you play in person. There's nothing like seeing somebody play live, you know, which we can't do right now.
Yeah,
but at least we're getting very hungry now for when we can see somebody play. So look out! I'm going to come looking for you. Okay.
Great, brother. Great. The same. I would love to see you in person very soon, to see your playing. That was always amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
And you watch that son of yours. He's going to be something. I see him playing bass now. He's going to be something else.
He's good. He's doing very good. I think he's here. He's my translator.
Okay, good.
I'm doing good.
Yes, you are.
I'm learning. Brother,
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you.
a great lunch. Have a great time.
Thank you, Edu. Love you, my man.
Thank you. Tchau, everybody. Thank you for coming here. Beijo pra vocês.
Okay.
Tchau.
Bye-bye.
Bye.